Hello YouTube. Picked up a 2005 BMW R1200RT Tourer for £3,500. Good price, I think, for the bike. Just going to use it for doing some tours on and stuff like that. It does have bikes from 2004 to 2006 had an interesting braking system where the ABS has an extra servo and it's like power braking, and of course it wasn't BMW's best day, and it's a case of when, not if, that it actually fails. And what happens is, let me explain how it works. So you pull the lever or press the brake, which then pumps fluid down to an ABS unit in here. The ABS unit then notices that you're pressing the lever because of a sensor, and that then runs a pump which pumps fluid to the caliper. Why do you need to do that? Why can't you don't need to have a pump? I mean, I can see the idea behind it. A little bit of braking effort gives you maximum braking result, but it's just something to go wrong. So I'm going to have to take it off, which will then just link the master cylinder directly to the calipers, and I'll actually bypass the whole power ABS unit, so I won't have that problem anymore. But it does leave me without ABS, but I've ridden bikes for 30 years without ABS, so there we go. So what happens is, if I power it up, then it goes through a little check. Now this brake failure, normally the brake failure flashes slowly to tell you that it needs to drive at least 10 meters to sense the ABS ring, but this means there's a failure if I read it with my scanner. So if I operate the brake lever, you might be able to hear so that's me pressing the brake lever, and the harder I press the lever, the more pump. Which it's a bit trick, but you don't need it, and it should work on the back brake as well. But no, as soon as I touch the back brake it should be running the pump, but it's not. So what that leaves me with today is I've got power braking on the front, but on the back I haven't. I've just got what they call the residual braking, but the residual braking isn't as good as how it would be normally without this ABS contraption. So it's actually as good as having no brakes on the back, and then when the front fails, even worse, all of a sudden you've got no brakes at the front. So I think that's probably dangerous actually, so I'm going to take it all off and just go to standard brakes, and I'm going to show you what is involved in doing that procedure. Now I would be doing this out the back, but I've already got two bikes out there in the service bays, so I have to do this one out the front. So take the side cases off. Take the seat off. Wire for the heated seat. This is the only B port on a BMW RT. Of course, this is a different connector. It's not the standard oblongy one, but I've got an adapter for that. We'll read what code's in there anyway, first of all. Just put that somewhere. That's the adapter. Goes from BMW to the standard ODB, and there's a ODB Link LX Bluetooth adapter that I use for reading other bikes and cars and stuff. So I'll plumb this in. And turn on the bike power. Now, I don't know how this is going to work, because I'm going to need to use the phone that I'm filming with in order to interrogate the thing, so I'll take some screenshots. Now I need to take all the Tupperware off, so start with the rail, tank rail for the tank bag. So T25 Torx. I'll take them out, I guess, so I don't lose them. Then the side trim panels, I think. That's all the Tupperware off. There we go. Took about 10 minutes, I guess. I didn't bother recording all of that. There's lots of videos on YouTube of where to how to get that off. Or you can download the BMW Rep ROM CD, and it tells you in there how to remove all the plastics and everything like that. ABS pump is underneath the fuel tank. This lovely plastic thing is the fuel tank. It's really good, actually, good idea. It's easy to get off. Most bikes, the fuel connection's underneath. There's a metal tank. This is a plastic tank underneath the plastic Tupperware. It's actually a lot better design. It's safer as well, I believe. That's the fuel pump on the other side. Now, it's got quick release fixings, which is really, again, really handy. Because most bikes, the fuel pump and connections underneath the tank, you take the pipe off and you get petrol pouring out and stuff like that, or even a dribble. They're supposed to have self-closing valves, but this BMW has a quick disconnect. You press the button and there we go. There's the fuel pipe apart and one drop of fuel, that's it. Same here. How does this one work? You press that metal bit, again that pops out. I'll just put a little bit of rag in there just to catch that little drop of petrol. So there we go, just get that little bit of petrol out there. That's much better than John's bike dripping petrol on the hot headers. You know, all the fuel connections at the top of the tank. You know, BMW have some good ideas, but they didn't have a very good one with the ABS. So those are the pipes, the fuel pressure pipe, and I don't know which one's which, I haven't looked in the manual. There's some 12 volt picking up for the USB charger. These are the pump connections, so they'll just pop out. There we go. I'll undo those two clips and take the vent pipe off. The vent pipe, doing a bit of cleaning up, and that's it. That's pretty much disconnected. The tank can come off now. Of course, they're not magnetic screws, they're stainless, so they're not magnetic, which is good. Quality. Right, so that's disconnected. Now there's two bolts that need to come out, which are that bolt there and one on the other side, and then the tank can pull backwards off of that clip. So literally those hex to be undone. There's 5mm hex. That's that. Try and capture the bit from the other side as well. There's a little rubber bung on it, it'll probably fall out at some stage. Same on the other side. It's always better to run as much fuel out of the tank as you can, so go for a ride, get the fuel right down, makes it a little bit lighter. And now it should just pull back off of these things. Good grab on it. Disconnect this vent pipe. To the tank. Fuel in it, nothing leaking. Now this takes us to our part in question. This is the ABS pump, the integral ABS pump. There's the connector to the ECU for the ABS. These are the pressure relief valves. Pressure relief valve for the back, for the front. I've tried taking these out and cleaning them. These are the reservoirs for the fluid that go to the back caliper, the back caliper and the front caliper. So it's a separate circuit, so that's fuel, so don't worry about that. So basically you have the lever comes into there, so that's from the lever, that actuates a sensor, so the sensor knows when you're pushing fluid in. There's a pressure relief valve, and it then operates a pump which then pumps fluid from this reservoir back, or from that one to the front calipers and from that one to the back calipers. Now there's a sensor inside here which is the one that's the offending one, so I'm basically going to, well, I could just link, and that pipe goes to the front, that pipe goes to the back, so I could just take those two pipes and join them together, so then from the lever out to the caliper. but it just means it's going through a lot of the circuit. So I'm going to do the connection near where the brake hose runs down, because that's the kit that you can get from Motorworks to do that. So that's the bad boy that is going to be removed. So it saves about 4 or 5 kilograms in weight as well. That's quite heavy, that thing. So when you bleed the brakes on this, you have to bleed the caliper, then you have to bleed that, and that. So that's just for the back. So there's 3 plus the caliper to bleed the brakes for the back, and then 3 for the front plus the 2 calipers. Yeah, it's crazy. It wasn't BMW's best day. It's made by FTE. They don't make it anymore. They don't make any components for it. If you manage to find a second-hand one online, it's probably going to be faulty anyway. And apparently it's a case of when, not if, they stop working. So that's just to get rid of it. Okay. So there's the hose. So there's the brake lever, master cylinder, hose coming down. The hose comes down and goes to the top here, to that. Banjo goes on there, and then the bottom one is, so that pipe goes to the ABS, and then below that there's a pipe coming back from the ABS which then goes to the calipers. So what I'm going to do is link it here. I'm going to link those 2 banjos together just there, so it doesn't bother pumping the fluid to the ABS and back. It's literally coming out of the master cylinder, going to my connection, and then down to the brake calipers. I'm going to remove that glove box, get it out of the way so we can see better. Well, that's a better view. So we can see there's the brake line, the brake hose coming from the front master cylinder up the top on the bars, and that goes to this brake pipe which goes into the ridiculous machine, the combobulator, and then comes out of the combobulator through this one and down to the calipers. So I'm going to join those 2 banjos together. Job done. Who needs all this? Who needs all this stuff? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bypass these. Now I've got a little kit that comes from Motorworks BMW, which has all the correct adapters to join that together properly. So let me go and get them, and we'll do that. These are the gubbins you get from Motorworks, and this is for the front. That's for the electronics on the ABS, and those bits are for the rear. So that is for the front. It's just a link, bit of preformed brake pipe, and that will basically connect my 2 banjos together. Let's do it. I'm going to reflush, I'm going to, replace the brake fluid anyway, so I'm going to draw off the fluid from the master cylinder so nothing drips out whilst I'm doing the surgery. It might as well, I'm going to replace it, so let's try not to make things. Brake fluid's not very nice stuff actually, it corrodes, it takes paint off, plastic, it's just not very good stuff. So let's try and put some towel around here. Big blue bog rolls, buy them off eBay. Always handy to have. Except you can get some really cheap, crappy towel, which this obviously is. There we go. I think that'll probably be enough to kind of help save the day. Right, let's have a little look at what's going on here. So there's the rubber stuck onto the top of the cap, but the fluid not too bad and not too minging, but so let's put this down, try not to get it dirty and try not to lose the screws. I'm telling myself. Okay, so all 4 screws have now dropped out onto the floor somewhere, so let me look for them. Okay, found them 2 meters away. Would have been a real pain on a gravel drive, so there we go, note to self. There's my brake fluid capturing device. So draw it off with a syringe. Also use it for syringing my ears out with.
Right, love.
And then clean it out a little bit. It doesn't look too dirty in there actually. I think people have had a go at this because this bike's had 6 owners. I think people have had a go at this over the years, and no one's bit the bullet and done the ABS servectomy. So that's probably why it changed hands so much, because it seems to be alright other than this. Seems to be. Right. Okay. I'm going to put the top back on whilst I'm messing about so I don't get a load of dust in there and whatnot, and so I don't lose it. I wonder if it would have been better to loosen that off. Maybe so. Maybe loosen that off, and so I can get to this a bit easier. Yeah, I'll do that. What I'll do is maybe take the top one off as well. In fact, maybe I should have done that one first. So that's a smaller 11mm spanner. Oh. This is why you don't want to have any plastics there. Make sure you take the fairing off and everything, which you need to anyway. Okay. So that was the residual fluid coming out of the line from the master cylinder. This little bit in there, so that's the smaller one that goes up the top. look at that. It's almost like they designed that to fit. It's a little bit, it's bending just slightly, nothing major. Okay, so that's bitten now, that's on the threads. Too. So let's push this out of the way for a minute and put that back on there. It's a T30, that screw, but T25 will do, or it might be T27. There we go. Right, now let's do these bits up. Okay, I won't do it too tight, I'll do the bottom one now. It's not 12mm, must be 13mm for that one. So don't want them too tight because it's actually soft copper which is being pushed upon the union piece, so it doesn't need to be like Thor kind of strength doing it up. Just a tweak and a one grunt tight, I guess. Should seem to work. So kind of, yeah, that's not too bad. And then on the bottom, yeah, just so when you can feel the copper kind of pushing in there and starting to seat nicely. But I'll check it for leaks and everything afterwards, we'll see. So there we go, that is the front now. The master cylinder linked directly to the calipers, so I can refill the master cylinder with fluid, bleed the front calipers, and that should be done, that part of it. Right, I'm going to bleed the right caliper first. cut off the rubber. I'm going to take it off, keep it out of the way, don't lose it. 8mm spanner. At least it's an 8mm spanner. BMW do something standard. I'm going to put my it's got a little thing in there to stop it coming out. My little brake bleeder. I've got a vacuum bleeder as well on my compressor if I need, but I'll just use this. Just makes it a bit less noisy. I'll push that hose onto the top of the bleed nipple. Use a pair of pliers or something if you need to help getting it on there. Okay, so on there properly. Don't let it ping off. You can put a cable tie around it as well if you want to hold it on there tight, but that looks pretty good. So let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, so topped up the master cylinder. Now I'm going to pump the lever. When you pump, sometimes you get the spray of fluid coming out the top, so I'm going to cover that over. Pump it a few times like that, try and get those bubbles out. Don't want to pump it too much so it gets all foamy. You don't want to shake your brake fluid. There's tons of them little bubbles in there. So what I'm going to do is pull the lever, hold it, and then release on the caliper, let the fluid through. But I'm going to cover that up so if there's a fountain of it squirting out, it doesn't go everywhere. So slowly pull the brake lever all the way back. Okay, and then release. Oh, that's tight. About there, a little bit of fluid out. And then slowly release the lever. And then again, pull the lever back slowly. It's taking forever, so I decided to go with the vacuum. So it's running off a compressor. So basically the compressor creates a vacuum which makes it a damn sight easier to bleed the brakes. But it's a bit noisier. Okay, that's the front link done. Linking the master cylinder hose to the hose that goes down to the brake calipers. and I've bled that, and there's quite a bit of pressure on the lever, but I'll leave it overnight pulled in with the cable tie around it. That'll trick, get all the bubbles to the top. Right, so that's the front. Now the back lever actuates this little arm. This little arm, there's the rear master cylinder is in there. There's the connection that goes off to the ABS, and then there's a hose that comes from the back wheel into there. So what we're going to do is we're going to again bridge from there to the hose that goes to the back wheel. So when you press the lever, actually no, there's the fluid reservoir. The fluid reservoir runs down into the cylinder, yes, and then the cylinder pumps out of here into the ABS at the moment, but we're going to have it going from here to the back caliper. So I'll take the back Tupperware off. I'm going to remove all the fluid from the rear reservoir, and then I can then take the hose off of there. Okay, so pulled that pipe out from there. Now the brake line goes into the back there. There's a banjo in there, and then that pipe and the banjo connects onto this solid pipe going up to the combobulator. So this bit I've taken a bolt out of. There's a bolt out of there, so that's like a junction piece. Now this is what you get in the kit. This replaces that, so this goes in there, so it allows me to connect the brake pipe from there. So there's a link pipe that goes from there into there, yep, and then the banjo goes on the other end of this and does up, and then this bit goes. So I need to get in there to be able to undo that banjo connector. What I'm going to do is pull off this rubber. Hopefully there'll be some kind of fit in there. Oh yeah, so I can undo that. So what I can do then is then pull that back and then do all the business there and then push it back out. So I need to undo that connector, which is like oh yeah, I know what that is. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm going to pull this pipe out. So I'm going to ping this clip out. There's that clip. Then the pipe pulls out. Getting fluid everywhere. Okay, and that's got a rubber grommet on it. Okay, then this bit, like I said, I should be able to pull this back now. Let me pull the wire off for the brake light switch. Okay, unclip the brake light switch wire holders. Now I can pull this back. Ta-da! So now I can get to it a bit easier. So now what I need to do is effectively connect that banjo, which goes to the caliper, to the top of the rear master cylinder, and that's it. So that's where this little kit comes in order to do that. Where did it go? So there's the kit, the pipe that comes. So I'll put, so basically it kind of changes that thing for that quick speed connector to an actual screw in. So I'll fit this. Need a new crush washer. Fit this and I'll put it back. Okay, so on top of the banjo bolt, it's a T40 Torx. You need to hold that bit and then undo it. You need to replace the two copper crush washers. whole bit, trying to get fluid everywhere if you do wash it off. So we're going to keep that banjo back. Going to put a couple of new washers on it, just for fun. New copper crush washers. There's the banjo bolt. So one washer this side of the bolt, which will be one side of the banjo, and a piece the other side of the banjo. It's called a banjo because look, it looks like a banjo, doesn't it? Simples. When I'm cleaning windows. So the banjo bolt goes in there, and then the other washer goes the other side of it, and it does up in that new adapter piece that I have supplied. So let's put that on there, and then we want to do this up like so. So actually that will go that side of it. There's our banjo. What's that leaking out of? Brake fluid. Let's get that wiped up. Okay, got that pipe on there. I'm going to thread that back in and poke it through and do it up. There we go. So that piece that was in there has now been replaced for this piece, which I'm just going to bolt back up. Which apparently is the piece from the non-ABS bike. It's the same piece, or it is the piece. So you need 3 hands. Okay. I put this on because the fluid that was in there started dripping out and going everywhere, so next time remember to watch out for the fluid coming out the other end of the pipes. So I'll give it a wash off in a minute with some water, so I don't start taking the paint off, because that's all redundant now. Right, so I need to go from there, so I need to go from that bit to that bit with a bit of pipe. Bit of pipe, preformed. So, I guess it goes. Oh, I don't know which way it goes. It could go either way, really, couldn't it? Does it go? Does it go inside or outside of the thing? Does that go round there? And that goes over there? Do you reckon? Or does it go? Oh, maybe it threads through here. Do you reckon? Could be about right. I can always ring them up and ask. or God forbid, look at the instructions. I think it goes around there. I think that's the mystery. It goes around there. Wouldn't fit very well. But if it went round there, that would work quite well, I think. Yeah, I think that would. Maybe I'll go that way. What do you reckon? Look at that. Yeah, that might be the kiddie. He did say I might have to bend it a bit. Yeah, let's go with that. I reckon that might work. It's quite soft copper pipe, so it's easy to bend. Although, would it be better if it's on the inside of the frame? Would it be safer? I might go and read the instructions. Alright, so I've to bend the pipe a little bit. Again, don't want to do it too tight because it's only a little bit of copper flared pipe. It's not under real heavy pressure. Steven Spielberg wouldn't have that. Yeah. Looks like it's sitting on there all right. So, there we go, that's it. That's linked the rear brake master cylinder with the hose that goes to the back caliper. So now we can just bleed rear brake. Should be good. Okay, there's fluid in there. No fluid in the master cylinder. Right, so I'll top that out. So now the physical bit of the bypass is done. The hydraulic cables are connected, the lines. Got the front brake tied back just to help any bubbles get out. You can tap the hoses and stuff like that. Hopefully the bubbles will come to the top. So now I need to, it's left to remove the ABS and do the wiring part of it, because although it's physically disconnected from the brakes now, you need the speed sensor and the brake lights to work, which need wiring from the ABS to remain. I'm going to remove the actual physical brake lines now to get them out of the way. So this is the old back circuit out to the back wheel. This is front from the pedal. So this goes and comes out here. So that's a bit of hose that I want to pull out. This is from the front. So this goes to, see, off. So this came from the lever. So the lever pushed and the fluid went in there. And this then pumped it back out to the caliper. So that came in from the lever, that went out to the caliper. So they're two separate circuits. So when fluid goes in here, actuates the sensor tells the pump to run, pump then pumps fluid out of here, and there's a separate reservoir there. So it's just a bit overcomplicated really, it doesn't need to be like that at all. So I can pull these pipes out because they're easy to get to. So do that. Don't get any fluid anywhere. So that's junk now. Jump, bit right through. And then the two that go to the back, which I might cut with cutters just to get them out of the way. Now the unit slides out from this side. Got to take the air intake out of the way. That's where your air filter is for the BMW riders who have never taken their bike apart. It's in there. Trumpet. Air comes in that through the filter. This one looks alright actually. And that's why I think this bike's been quite looked after actually. It's just that the ABS is stupid. Hey! Hello, baby. Right, now that's done, I've pulled out the ABS, and this connector still needs to, these are the bits I've pulled out. So this bit, I need to take that bit, that end bit off of the ABS pump, because that's got the electronics in it, and that needs to stay in place. So I'll separate that from the ABS unit. It's got these anti-tamper screws on it, anti-tamper screws, but I'll just bust them out. Right, next bit. Now I drilled them out in the end. There's little security bolts on the end of that. Drilled them off. That leaves me with this control module. Now I need to disconnect this control module from the ABS pump and retain this module because the bike needs that. Okay, so that's pulled off there. Those are the motors that were around, the servo motors that do all the servo shenanigans. So that's that lump of, it's not junk, because I could probably sell this for more than the kit cost to do the bypass, because all these little bits, you know, these pressure relief valves, for people who just want them it's fine, but for me it's the sensor inside, one of the sensors that's gone. So this is the bit I need to retain. So what I'm going to do is, part of the kit there is a plate which blanks off the back of it and makes it waterproof, so I'm now going to put that on. Right, so this is the plate that comes in the kit, or you can order this separately, you order the bits, but this comes with some bolts. What this does is that sits in there and makes it and bolts up and makes it all weatherproof. But what I'll do is I'm going to put a bit of little bit of sealant on there as well, just for extra belt and braces. So then a little bit of RCV sealant around the lip, just make it extra, you know, extra waterproof, like a, you know, gasket type stuff. So I'll put a little bead of that around and then put it together. There we go, generous bit of sealant around the edge. Now this little piggy sits on there. Yep. So there is the unit sealed up. So again, without this back on the bike and the connector in it, there's no brake light or speedo. Right, it's fitted back in there. I've cable tied it to the side, a few big cable ties. It's quite solid. There's a bit of rubber in there stopping it vibrating as well. So, big hole where the ABS used to be. Now you get the error light when you power up. So what we're going to do is disable that light. So that's the red light, red LED. So you've got the red LED at the bottom and the check brake or the brake failure flashing. So I've got the wife's nail varnish. A nice thick blob of nail varnish on there. Well, done the trick. So we've still got the yellow light, just not got the red light. Rimmel London style. Well, there we go. Neutral, check, yellow, and it's gone. No more brake failure.